What's going on, everybody? Back for another MMA show with my man, Big Marley. 13 fights, Big Marley. Fingers crossed we get to run back 13 fights. And it feels very, very similar to last week's card. 6 of the 13 fights expected to finish. Last week, I believe it was exactly 6 as well. Wasn't too much violence. I saw a lot of people tilting in Discord. Very boring fights. Shout out to our man, Little Neck. He won a single entry contest. A very good week for him last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, 6 of 13 fights expected to finish. No favorites above minus 550, a couple in the minus 400 range. But yeah, interesting fight card as long as we keep all 13. I'm excited. I think it's a good one. How you doing today? How do you think this fight card is coming up?
Yeah, I think it's another good DFS card, especially if we keep all 13 fights. 2 fights I want to target heavily, and then aside from that, I think I can find different ways to get different from the field. I'm not against leaving salary on the table on this card. I do think it's a fairly tough card, though, from a DFS perspective. So I'm looking forward to talking it out with you.
I agree. I think it's really clear the 2 fights, the main event and the co-main event. Obviously, the main event, I think you can get away with it. Let's start right there quick. My thought. Are you going to lock that fight? Are you going to make any rules on this card?
No, I won't make any. No lock in any fights, but I would like to have probably 85% or more of that fight.
Yeah, the only rule I'm going to make is at least one fighter in the main event and the co-main event. Obviously, the 2 best fights on the card. So I will allow fight fades. I won't force myself to have 100%. If I had 100% of either of these 2 last fights, though, I'd be good with that. Yeah, let's go bottom to top. Let's start first fight of the night. Actually, first I want a huge promo that we just put out today with MLB opening day. We are recording this Thursday night like usual. MLB 50 gets you $50 off your first month and the Saber Sim Core package. So usually $99, as you can see right here. All of our content with Saber Sim. You can build 250 lineups and you can see 150. Usually $99, now $49. No better time to get in and give us a try. We're not going to run too many promos often. So first month, $49. Also gets you in the Discord, the best community out there. If you want starter, ultimate, again, I recommend taking advantage of this deal right now. But the starter gets you 350 more teams, projections, and ownership from Saber Sim, as well as ours and contest flashback. If you want the Sims, $297 for the first week, or for the first month, excuse me. Then goes up to $321. If you're playing hundreds of dollars a week, I think you maybe should check it out. By far the most powerful Sims in the industry. But if you're only playing 10, 20, $30 a week, I would try that MLB 50 code. Gets you Saber Sim and gets you all of our content. All right, Big Marley, no time to waste. 13 fights to talk about. First fight of the night, going bottom to top from the stone right here. Markel Medeiros, minus 162, taking on Austin Hubbard, plus 142, plus 200 for this fight to finish. Medeiros plus 300 inside the distance. Hubbard plus 550. Throwing it to you right away, and you have this as a 2-star, which is tied for the lowest on the slate.
Yeah, it's actually if I was going to do a 1-star on this card, it would be this fight. And if I was just making a couple lineups altogether, I think I would exit out. My preferred play is going to be Hubbard just because he's $1,200 cheaper. I think he is more likely to mix in wrestling. He can keep the fight close on the feet, but he's just not going to bring a heavy volume on the feet. He's not going to chain wrestle at all. So I really don't see any high ceiling from him. He's not a scary finisher either. So I did pick Medeiros to get his hand raised. I thought he was just the quicker overall fighter. I think he will be able to keep this fight on the feet for the majority of the fight. And he just reminded me of like a poor man's Yusuf Zalal, where he's going to be harder to hit than most of the people Hubbard is fighting. So I don't expect more than 4 strikes landed per minute on the Hubbard side. But Medeiros could be a little bit ahead on volume. But $8,700, he didn't look like a power puncher. He doesn't look like he wants to wrestle much. So I'm not trying to pay $8,700. So that's why this fight's a fade for me. Dog or pass.
100%. I'm glad I threw it to you first. As you can see, shout out to my man Rio. Rocket ship for every show. Titles done today on 3, MLB, NBA, now MMA, and allergies. So I'm really glad I threw it to you first. You saved my voice. Dog or pass. Hubbard is in a ceiling play, but if we have a decent amount of big favorites. If 2 underdogs won and one's Hubbard at 72 DK points, that could be enough. Good money line for his price on this card, so I'll play some. I don't love it. Like if Sabre was giving me 35%. I would cap that a little lower than that. Medeiros is a fade for me in 20 and below too. Just to pivot in the upper tier, has power, but Hubbard's tough. Never been knocked out. Also forgot to say hi, but my man Nate, Ben, Little Neck, who I shouted out, Michael, YSN, Colton. Appreciate everyone hanging out live. So much going on. MLB, NBA, college basketball. I already say college basketball. No, NBA, NHL, college basketball. Golf ended, but you guys are choosing to spend it with us Thursday night watching. So we appreciate that. That is pretty cool. Next fight on the card, Big Marley. This one should be fun. A clash of styles. Jamal Emmers, minus 380, taking on Gabriel Miranda, plus 315. Minus 220 for this fight to finish. Emmers, minus 105 inside the distance. Miranda, plus 285. How I look at this, Emmers the striker, Miranda the grappler. It's minus 220 to finish, and it opened minus 210 early in the week. So some money on the under. Jamal Emmers is also taking a good bit of money. Open minus 210 all the way down to minus 380. I think Emmers probably wins. He's definitely the better mixed martial artist, but man, is he going to jump? If he hurts Miranda, what's he going to do? Is he going to let him up? Is he going to jump and play footsie like he did against Sabatini? How do you see this fight going?
Yeah, I think that Emmers, just as long as you don't get submitted, don't give Miranda your neck in the first round, and you should be fine. I think that's all you got to worry about is Miranda getting you down, taking your back, getting a rear naked choke, or you take him down, he grabs on your neck with a guillotine. If he doesn't get either one of those, he really doesn't have much, and then the longer the fight goes, he's got even less. So Emmers is a good wrestler. You don't want to use that in offense, at least not in the first round. I think if he gets out of the first round, he could do whatever he wants in this fight. I think he'd be fine wrestling. I'm not worried about any triangles from Miranda in the second or third round. And I don't think that Miranda has anything to offer off his feet. So this is Emmers for me. I want a good amount of Emmers, but Miranda's a guy who could just absolutely break the slate. Second fight of the night. If he wins, he probably scores 90 or more points at $7,100, where it becomes like no Miranda, no cash type of night. So he's somebody I can't fade, and I probably want to go overweight to the field, especially if I'm going to be overweight to the field on Emmers. I just want to go heavy on the fight and hope that it is one of the top 3 fights on the card. This would be the other one. If I was to make a 5-star fight, I think it would be this one.
I agree with you. Because of if Miranda wins, it's really hard not to see him be optimal. It'll be through the mat. And Emmers has so much striking upside in this matchup because the level of difference on the feet between him and Emmers and Miranda is night and day. Again, one of the highest inside the distance props on the slate. As you can see right here, not many fights expected to finish. Again, 6 of the 13, minus 700s in a tier of its own, then minus 210, minus 205. So most definitely a great fight to target, but by no means a lock. Like Emmers' third round knockout, probably not enough at 91-100. So not making a rule. I would also have had it as a 4-star. All right, let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, biggest favorite, Rafa Garcia, minus 500, taking on Vince Pichel, plus 375. Fight's very likely to go the distance at minus 285. Rafa Garcia, all the finishing upside, though, plus 240. Pichel, plus 1,000. What I want to throw it to you with, Big Marley, 3.38 takedowns per 15 for Garcia, 2.78 for Pichel. Is wrestling going to negate each other, or is the younger guy, at least in my opinion, Rafa, going to have the wrestling upside? I'd be shocked if Pichel out wrestles him. Rafa, I wouldn't be as much, but I mean, how many takedowns is his upside in this one?
Yeah, I do think we'll see some wrestling, unless he's just really cruising on the feet and just has no need to expend that energy. But I would expect to see a couple takedowns. And if I was going to line a takedown prop for Rafa, I'd say at least 1.5, maybe 1.5 with a little juice on the over.
Okay, so that's probably not enough at 9,500 in a fight very heavily juiced to go the distance, is what I'm hearing.
Probably not. I mean, he can strike at a pretty high pace too. But yeah, he's not somebody I'm really looking to get to a whole lot. Although Pichel's up there in age, so it just wouldn't shock me if he, look for the door like we were talking about with Marley last week. If Rafa is getting takedowns in the first round and Pichel's just like, all right, let me get the heck out of here, get my paycheck and leave. Maybe he's got a rear naked choke for Rafa there, but I just think Rafa will have a decent volume with striking and wrestling and still not get enough points for the optimal. He might get, 85, 90 points, but that's not going to cut it at $9,500, especially with people in his range. So I'm not against him. I'm not going to X him out of my player pool, but I sure won't be clicking him if I'm just making a few hand-built lineups. So take that how you want. And then Pichel, I think he is a pass for me. I don't really love passing on wrestlers at $6,700, but I just don't see him being able to wrestle for more than a round or two at this point in his career. And even if he does have success with the wrestling, I don't think he's got a high ceiling anymore. So I probably pass on Pichel.
I'm definitely with you. I'm not going to play Pichel in 20 or less, but Hoffa, he didn't make my top 4 in my tier rankings in the upper tier. I definitely prefer others there. So he's going to be in the pool. If he is just way better wrestler against the 42-year-old and breaks him, puts up 110, sure, I'll have some, but I'll be underweight to this fight. Hope it's not optimal. All right, let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card. Some pretty big line movement in this one. Lupi Godinez minus 280. Julia Pilastri plus 240. Plus 375 for this fight to finish. Godinez plus 525 inside the distance. Pilastri plus 725. So you can see right here, minus 224 on Monday when I put these odds up. Now minus 280. I think Lupi's better everywhere. I think she can win on the feet. I think she can take her down and control her on top. The thing I guess I'm going to ask you is takedowns, just like the last fight. What would you line it at? If Lupi gets me 2 takedowns, probably isn't optimal in this on this card. If she gets me 4 or 5, 94, I'd take that score at her ownership. So how do you see the wrestling going? How do you see this fight?
I'd say for her takedown prop, I'd go more 2.5, because if this fight is stuck on the feet, I don't know that she's going to be a clear favorite. I do think she's the better boxer overall, but Pilastri could throw out enough volume where she could definitely win a striking match there. Where on the Hoffa side, I feel like he could keep it on the feet for 2-3 rounds if he wanted to. He doesn't have to rely on the takedowns. Where Lupi, that's if she's going to look like a minus 300 favorite, it's got to be through the wrestling. So I do think that should be in play, but I've thought that multiple times in Lupi fights, and she doesn't think the same thing. So I don't trust her, but I do want exposure to Lupi. She could get 110 plus points at 8,800. She has one of the higher ceilings on the card if she did have a wrestling heavy game plan. I just don't trust that it'll be heavy enough for her to be a lock on the optimal lineup with a win. So that's why I put it as 2-star. I probably up this to 3-star, though, to be honest with you, because I am interested in Lupi. And then Pilastri is just a dog who could win, score 75 to 80 points, and that could cut it on this card. So I'm not going to X her out either. I think I am, as I'm talking, I would just talk myself into a 3-star for this fight.
Nice. Who do you think you'll be more overweight to?
I would I would prefer Lupi, but I also like a lot of other favorites. So if SaberSim gave me more leverage on Pilastri, I don't know that I would make an effort to change that, but I prefer Lupi.
Yeah, I think Lupi wins and stuff, but I'm with you just because of the price tags and this slate. And if Pilastri wins, 75 very well could be enough. If she wins, I think it probably is just all on the feet, and Lupi just doesn't wrestle or doesn't have success wrestling. And in a fight like that, it could be 110 to 100 significant strikes, and I would take that on the Pilastri side. If it goes a decision close on the feet, you never know where a split decision goes. It is worth noting, meant to bring it up from the top and ask you, but this fight, this card's in Mexico City. It's at elevation. Does that do anything in your thought process when breaking down these fights? Is it just very specific matchup oriented, with a notorious gasser after round 1, et cetera, which I didn't really see any fights on this card that I changed my mind because of where the fight was at, but it has to be in the back of your mind.
Correct. Yeah. Nothing. There was no fighter who I'm like, oh, this person's going to gas even quicker because it's at elevation. I think I mentioned elevation somewhere along here. I'll have to look through and see where that was. Maybe we haven't got there yet. But I don't think that even if Lupi goes out there and wrestles, I feel like at 115 pounds, man, you should be fine, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't mean to say that just about that fight in general, but overall in the card, if people are watching that don't follow any MMA, if you are watching on Saturday, you'll hear announcers saying it, and if people do gas, maybe it's because the elevation's getting to them a little bit.
True, yeah, maybe high volume strikers and chain wrestlers don't have as high a volume and they don't chain wrestle quite as much on this card.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's keep it rolling to the next fight on the card. Two pretty big names. I'm excited for this one in real life. DFS, though, not as much. Christian Rodriguez, minus 161. Taking on Mel Costa, plus 141. Plus 130 for this fight to finish. Rodriguez, plus 250 inside the distance. Costa, plus 350. So interesting. This was plus 150 earlier in the week to finish. Now plus 130. I do like to see that because a couple things. I was like, all right, C-Rod and Costa, two pretty big names. C-Rod has had plenty of very big wins against undefeated opponents. Austin Bashi being the last. Costa just fought last month, against Andre Fili, got the first round finish. So people know these guys' names. It's in the mid-tier. However, they're competing with Torres Dober, by far a better fight. Moreno and Erceg is kind of in that tier. And then the other kind of low-owned fight is Borjas Ronaldo Rodriguez. And I prefer that fight to this fight of having to choose. So I don't know how much I'm going to get of this fight. Now, I'm going to throw it to you on this. Does C-Rod just come out here and try and wrestle? Does he have success like that? Or can Costa be dangerous off his back, find a submission? Pretty hard for me to see Costa getting a sub off his back again. I respect C-Rod. But, yeah, I don't know. If there's not a ton of wrestling, you can see the volume's low on both guys. And the decision, I think, is probably likely.
Yeah, I just changed this one to a 2-star so I could have a second 2-star on the card. And I really don't see me getting too much of either side. I prefer Rodriguez. I picked him to win because he should have the overall grappling edge, and he's a good striker as well. But Costa's one of those live dogs who could strike at a pretty high pace. He could mix in a takedown if he wanted to. If I told you Costa wins, what do you think he scores?
71.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with 71. I'd probably take the over of 71. I'd probably say he's like more like I'd give him 5 extra points, 76 or something like that. But either way, I'm not like super interested.
How do you think he wins through wrestling? Like, I don't think he's an offensive wrestler and wins this fight. I think it'd have to just be a distance point fighting.
Yeah, no, I would think it's mostly a striking based fight if he does win. Although I do think this fight mainly takes place on the feet. I just think that there is paths to victory for Rodriguez if he takes Costa down. And we would need that at $8,400. I do think it's going to be hard for Rodriguez to be on the optimal without a finish too. So that's why I bumped it down to a 2-star. I really think I'm going to mostly fade this one. And maybe I even change it to a 4-star for the Costa side, 2-star for the Rodriguez side, just to keep that $600 savings.
See, I was going to go the other way. And my reason was the inside the distance prop. Rodriguez opened plus 350, now plus 250. Costa opened plus 285, now plus 350. So I was just going to follow the more likely guy to finish. And to be honest, Costa, I think, is probably higher owned, not by much. I think this fight's low owned. So if you like Costa to win, play some of him. If you like Rodriguez to finish, definitely play him. But at 8,400, like, people just aren't going to go there. And plus 250 inside the distance isn't that bad, actually. So I think I'll probably do more on him.
Screw it. I'll keep it 3-3.
3-3. Yeah. But hey, that's why we do this. Like, I felt good about a lot of the first 2 fights. It's a really tough card after that. Like, I'm going to be spreading out. It's a great DFS card. I will definitely, like last week, I spread out after Sean Brady, and shout out Sean Brady. That was domination. I had like 80%. After that, I don't think I had anyone above 40%. And that's kind of what I'm expecting in this card. Outside of Moreno, Erceg, Torres, Dober, I don't think I want anyone to be above 40%. I just look at a lot of them very similar.
Same. Yeah, it's just the main events as a whole, too. I don't even have like one side I want to be super heavy on. I just want to be heavy on those 2 fights. Yeah. Last card I was heavy on Brady. Oh yeah, Anthony. I didn't get to watch any fights. I forget, I was out early doing something. But I was like all in on Brady and Theonara. Didn't even know how they went, but I looked at my lineups at the end and like all of them cashed, but nothing was like too big. So it's like I won like $100 or something. Yeah,
I think we got a lot right last week. The Oberg Brady parlay came, but man, I was at a wedding, so I didn't watch the fights either. I liked seeing Verdict on Twitter. It's like an algorithm that does round by round. They had Jan beating Alberg, so I will definitely take that one. There's a lot of luck there, but Brady was domination. All right, let's keep it moving. Next fight on the card. We have the second biggest favorite on the card, at least one of them. Atabag Attar taking on Jose Medina. Gatar. How do I pronounce his name before I just keep absolutely butchering it?
Oh, I have no idea. I was going to say whatever you said.
Gatar is how I'm going. Gatar. Gatar minus 450. Medina plus 350. Gatar minus 205. Or this fight to finish minus 205 inside the distance. Gatar, the best inside the distance prop on the slate at minus 165. Medina plus 675. Gatar also the best round one prop at plus 190. What's going on, Nico? What's going on, Mark? All right. Is Jose Medina just going to eat every punch known to man, or is Gatar finally going to be the one to crack this chin?
I'm picking Gatar to get a knockout. I mean, Medina's tough. He probably will be able to eat a handful of strikes, but this guy is big, man. He's big and he is powerful, and he's young, man. He's super young, so he's going to improve every time out. He's a guy who we don't want to pay $9,600 for if he's not going to get a first round knockout. But his chances at the first round knockout are going to be pretty high in every fight. I feel like, just based on his style and his size and power. And this is a spoon-fed matchup for him to get that. Medina's tough, but at some point, I mean, you're going to go down, and I think it's going to happen here. First round knockout for Gatar. I do like him, but 9,600 makes it not a must-have. And then on the Medina side, he could win the fight if he makes it out of round one. Maybe he could win the fight. I don't think I want to play Medina. If I'm playing 150 lineups, I would squeeze him in some. 20 or less, I don't think I would get there. I would rather just ride the hype train with the UFC. But what do you think on this one?
I'm definitely going to play some Gatar. Like, the thing is, even though he's 9,600, he probably needs the first round knockout. This card just isn't filled with great upside in the upper tier. So even though he's really expensive, it's harder to leave money. I'm still going to be playing a decent amount of him. I do know that. And 13 fights, dogs are more dogs. It's easier for dogs to win because there are more dogs on the card. So I definitely will be playing him. But Medina is what I was going to ask you, like him or Pichel. I think Medina.
Medina.
Him or Simon Oliveira.
Probably Oliveira.
Him or Gastelum. I agree. I would go Gastelum. The Simon one, I really wasn't sure. I was kind of what I was down to those last two because I prefer Pilastri. I prefer Miranda. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, yeah, I wrote that. If Medina eats all the shots and Gatar making his UFC debut young just unloads on him and just completely falls off a cliff, Medina can get there that way. So maybe I just play him a little bit and he'll be really low owned. But, I mean, Gatar he should knock this guy out in round one. So I feel it's like I'm going to get 3 points more times than not.
And Medina's really just not even good enough. Like, if Gatar does fall off a cliff, I don't know that Medina can really just put it on him. I don't know that he has any real skills, to be honest with you. I mean, it's kind of rude to say. He's not, like, horrible, but he's just not good. He's just tough.
I agree. I mean, that's all he is. He's real tough. All right, that's all we got in that one. Let's keep it going. Next fight on the card. Another one that it's like, man, I don't know how much I love it. Edgar Chairez minus 260, taking on Carlos Vergara, CJ Vergara, plus 220, minus 110 for this fight to finish. Chairez plus 125 inside the distance, Vergara plus 650. So what's weird is Chairez by submissions plus 250, him by knockouts plus 400. Chairez has 7 wins by submission, 4 by knockout. He is a finisher, but he doesn't shoot for takedowns. CJ Vergara also doesn't shoot for takedowns. So how is Chairez going to find a sub in this one? I mean, he's plus 250, open at plus 335, so money poured in on the submission. How does he get it? Is it just standing guillotine like he did against the Lacerda in the first fight?
Maybe.
I like it, or is someone going to wrestle? Like, otherwise, I don't. That sub prop's insane at plus 250 for a guy that doesn't shoot takedowns and his opponent doesn't shoot takedowns.
Yeah, I wouldn't say either side to have more than a one takedown prop.
Yeah.
0.5 is more likely. Yeah, I don't think that I'm picking Vergara actually because I do think this is a fight that mostly takes place on the feet. Chairez maybe could get a knockout, but he's just not. He's just not good enough for a minus 260 favorite. If he's not getting a finish, I don't even know that if he's a favorite. If we knew this fight was going to go 15 minutes, I think Vergara could be the better minute winner in this one. He's probably the better striker. I think he's more consistent. But to me, this is closer to a pick'em fight where Chirez has the higher ceiling with his finishing potential, but Vergara is very live dog who we kind of want 10x for. I don't see him having any real ceiling, but I think he's got a good chance at winning, and I think he probably puts up about 72 points. So I'm fine with it. I'll get Vergara, and he'll help me get in some of those expensive favorites, but I'll be underweight to Chirez for sure. Just hope that he doesn't get that finish. He's 0-4 in decisions. I'm going to make it 0-5 right here.
I agree. I don't know if I agree necessarily on the pick. I didn't pick CJ outright, but I think the line's way too wide. And for DFS, Chirez, if he's not getting I wouldn't have him at plus 125 to finish. I'd have him like plus 175, somewhere near the Rosas. And his round one prop, I think he's more likely to break CJ in the second or third and just accumulate leg kicks or just power jabs or just hurt him a little bit. And that might still not be enough on this card in the 9K range. So definitely will play some CJ. It's like Hubbard. I don't love CJ's upside. I don't love Hubbard's upside, but 72, 73 DK points definitely could be enough. So not a fight I love though, which means as the card keeps going, 5-star, 5-star, you see a lot of 3-stars mixed in here though, and ownership will be spread out. So it is a good 13-fight card. If you have strong stances on some of these guys, you can easily get 3x over the field, 4x over the field, and still spread out, still make good lineups, low dupe lineups. And I'll ask you this, Big Marley. Just say you're playing 50 teams. How many full fades do you think you'd have on this card? Because that's another way you could get really different.
I guess it would depend if I'm playing 50 in the $18 or if I'm playing 50 in the 18. In the 18, I'd have less fades. I get ballsy in the mini max.
Okay.
But in the 18, I'd probably have, just looking through one, we haven't even got there yet, but Morales would be a fade. I'm not getting to much Martinez. I'm hoping you can maybe talk to me on him a little bit because the line movement has been wild. See, I could fade multiple underdogs, but they're all in play as a live dog, like Pilastri, a Borjas. I think they're similar. Like a Medina, I don't want any of them, but you could only take one lineup. All you need is one lineup with Medina is going to be 10% or less on. So I don't know, man. This is a tough card to find full fades. I think Pichel would be another one that I'd be fine fading. Medeiros would be a fade if we're looking at favorites.
Yeah.
The
thing is, I don't even know for sure if I would have. I just wanted to see your take. There's no right, wrong way to play it. A lot of pros would play every single fighter. I've been leaning toward that more. I know Rio expands his player pool a bunch. We see upsets all the time in DFS or in MMA. It's a very high variant sport. So mixing in a 7% on fighter instead of full fading, I've been getting there with more teams, but. Yeah, I don't know. On a card like this, if you just do make 3 fades and they're not optimal and you go 3x on a couple fighters you like, that's huge, big enough stands where if you do get that right, you have a lot better chance to ship. Yeah, fade old man Pichel for sure. All right, let's get back on track to breaking down the fights. Ronaldo Rodriguez, minus 142, taking on Kevin Borjas, plus 122. This fight is plus 105 to finish. Rodriguez, plus 165 inside the distance. Borjas, plus 475. So another fight with a good amount of line movement, Big Marley. On the money line, Ronaldo open minus 225. Shortly after got bought down to the minus 140 range, has stayed there. But the fight to finish, open plus 150, now plus 105. I love to see that. It's right in that Moreno Erceg range, Dober Torres range. So this fight has to be pretty low owned. And I already tipped my hand. I like this fight more than the Rodriguez Costa fight. So I will be overweight on this one. Do you like this one or the C-Rod fight more? And then what are you doing?
I'd say I like this one more because of the Rodriguez side. I am picking him to get the win. I like him to have a grappling edge here. And I think he's a decent striker too. I think he could win this fight on the feet, whether it be a knockout or even by decision. The one thing I do like about Borjas is he can fight or strike at a high pace. And that makes him live in this fight. He's similar to the other underdogs where if he wins, I could see him scoring right around that 10x or maybe, like 82 points or something like that. So I'm not against him. I just don't love his chances. I think that Rodriguez should be a little bit more of a favorite than he is. And the grappling is what I like about him. I don't think he's going to get too much ownership. And I think he could wrestle in every round, or I think he could get a submission. And the longer the fight goes, I think Borjas will slow down. And I picked third round submission for my pick on Rodriguez. So I'll be overweight to him, probably around the field, I guess, maybe underweight on the Borjas side.
Yeah, I'll be overweight Rodriguez. He's my preferred side. I'll probably end up overweight Borjas too. I think he's got some hands on him in round one. I think this could be a fun scrap. Borjas could land something big, maybe break the slate that way. And he's already going to be pretty low owned. I'd also be fine making a Rodriguez team, dropping Rodriguez down to Borjas, leave that 800. In teams like that, I'm more likely to have one of Moreno, Erceg, and one of Torres Dober. So I'm already eating more chalk. And that is my way to get different. But plus 122, like the money line isn't crazy. You are giving up some inside the distance. But again, this under has come down. It's taken some money. And I do think Borjas has some solid hands. But Rodriguez, the longer the fight goes, I think he can put a pace on him. And yeah, I like that third round call. All right, 5 fights left. Again, appreciate every single one hanging out. Like button helps us out a ton. Subscribe button as well. One of the biggest favorites on the card, David Martinez, minus 455, taking on Simon Oliveira, plus 355, minus 140 for this fight to finish. Martinez plus 100 inside the distance. Oliveira plus 565. Martinez in round one plus 350. So I guess the thing with Martinez is it just looks like he has a lot of power. And he looks like he's willing to throw his hands. And we haven't seen Simon Oliveira in 2 years. So it's just all the unknowns of who knows what Simon's going to look like. Feels like the UFC, talking about setup fights earlier in the guitar fight, like this feels like the UFC knows what they're doing. Mexican guy, going to go in here, knock out Simon Oliveira. Oliveira gets cut because he's 0-3 in the UFC. Martinez gets a big UFC debut. Who knows what he does after that? I'm going to play it. And a lot of that reason, too, is I don't love Chairez, like we talked about. I don't love Medeiros. I don't love Rafa Garcia. I got to play some people, so Martinez will be one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not against that. Yeah, I do think he's going to have a big striking edge in this fight, and I don't know that Oliveira can dictate where the fight takes place. So the way I kind of see it is submission or bust for Oliveira, but the submission's in play, and that could put him at a high score too. Martinez, I just don't know how much volume he's going to throw in this fight. That's kind of what I worry about with $9,400. But if he's going to get a finish, we don't need a ton of volume. Yeah, I think you talked me into some more Martinez than I would have gotten. And what are you doing on the Oliveira side? I feel like I want to play 5% just in case he gets the submission, but I don't know.
I'm playing some Oliveira, and the reason for that is, again, I'm going to compare him to Vince Pichel. I like Oliveira more. Comparing him to Medina, I still think I prefer Oliveira. And the reason is I'd rather take a big shot on a dog with even more unknowns. We haven't seen Oliveira in 2 years. What if he did actually get a lot better? Like we've seen it sometimes in the UFC. Fighters come back and look like completely different fighters. Also, I mean, what if this David Martinez dude isn't really that good? It's his UFC debut. What if he shits his pants going out there? Oliveira wins, scores 72. I would take that. So I know what Vince Pichel is. I know what's actually I guess I don't really know Jose Medina. Like I know he's tough. I don't know the guitar guy as much. I think there's more unknowns with Oliveira, and I'll embrace that as a big underdog. So I'm going to play both. I'll probably end up overweight on this fight.
Yeah, I'm not against that. This is the one I feel like on the whole card, I had no idea what the heck I'm going to do with it. And I'm still kind of that way. I'll probably let Saberson figure it out for me, and I'll just cap anything that looks a little too crazy.
I do that on plenty of fights throughout as well. So I think that's a good approach to take. On fights you're not too certain of, you don't have that great of a lean, dictate everything else in the ownerships you do, the main event, co-main, whatever you want. The other stuff, if you're somewhere on the field, I always go with it. So, all right, couple fights left. Another big favorite rule, Rosas Jr. minus 457, taking on Vince Morales, plus 357, plus 110 for this fight to finish. Rosas Jr. plus 140 inside the distance. Morales plus 700. I mean, man, Rosas looks strong for DFS. Inside the distance prop, fight to finish, plus 150, now plus 110. Rosas open plus 200. now plus 140 to finish. Big money line. You go to the Stone, 4.02 takedowns per 15. No Morales. Again, like I'll play Oliveira over Morales. I know what Morales is. Dude's going to get backpack probably for 10 minutes or get subbed. So, yeah, Rosas for me. What about you?
Yeah, Rosas or pass. I'm not looking to get to any Morales. I think this is another setup fight in Mexico to get the young Morales a victory. He can wrestle for 3 rounds or he could get a submission in any of those 3 rounds. I kind of lean for it to be the first. So I like him at $9,200. I'd rather have him over a Garcia. I'd rather have him over Martinez. And there's another one up there that we named in the 9K range that I feel like I don't love.
Chiras,
yeah.
What about Pfeiffer? Because we're going to get there, but tip your hand there.
I'm picking Gastelum. So
yeah, I like Rosas more than Pfeiffer too. Like it just shows the upper tier's not that strong. Like that's why I'm playing David Martinez too, but I like Rosas more than Martinez. So yeah. Rosas or pass, zero Morales.
Yeah, even with 150, I don't think I want any Morales. Like there's so many underdogs I want to mix in on this card. I think he's a full fade for me. And then Rosas leverage play for me.
I like it. Yeah, look at the big age difference. I love this. There's so much on the Stone that you need. 20 years old to 34. Crazy Rosas Jr. only 20. Because he keeps growing into his body, keeps getting stronger every time we see him, which you love to see. All right, 3 fights left. Joe Pfeiffer, minus 305. Taking on Calvin Gastelum, plus 245. Minus 125 for this fight to finish. Pfeiffer, plus 105 inside the distance. Gastelum, plus 675. Why are you picking Calvin Gastelum this week?
Well, when I did the fight, it was on Sunday. And I want to say
minus like 425 range it was on Sunday. Minus 450.
No, Gastelum was plus 410.
Yeah, so minus 515 is he was on March 22nd.
So it just blew my mind. I was like, whoa, that is crazy to me. And it was like so crazy. I was like, I'm picking Gastelum just based on the value alone. I don't even if I didn't look at a line, I'm just picking a winner. I probably do pick Pfeiffer at this point in their career. I would guess that this is going to be a striking match. Pfeiffer is going to be bigger, stronger, probably high volume, but neither one of these guys are high volume. Pfeiffer's more dangerous, but Gastelum's never been knocked out in 30-plus pro fights, including his tough fights. So I just don't think Pfeiffer's going to get a knockout here, and I don't think he's going to run away with a striking match. And if he's not going to get a knockout, I don't know how he's going to score enough for a $9,300 optimal. Yeah, because he's not going to be able to put the wrestling shoes on to get 8 takedowns on a Gastelum. So I just see this being a really close fight, low volume on both sides. We're not even sure who gets their hand raised when the judges are about to read off their corrupt decision. And then the winner probably scores 65 points either way. I'm more interested in that being Gastelum at 6,900. So Pfeiffer underweight, fade with 20 or less, but very underweight with whatever I end up doing. Gastelum, like I don't really want that much Gastelum because I like 65. Is that going to get it?
Maybe. That's the thing. We keep talking about like Hubbard, Pilastri, like Vergara. Like at this point, you just want wins. Like how many dogs win at the end of the day is it's going to come down to. But
he's just like in my mix.
If you're picking him to win, like I don't know. I don't want any more than 30% of any dog in these last 2 fights. But if I had 25%, I think I'd be fine with it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think I just want to go heavy on the favorites that I like and then kind of fade the ones that we talked about that we don't like and then just mix in all the underdogs, get whatever combinations I possibly can of the ones that are all just kind of interesting that are like playing for 10x.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely going to have a very spread out pool this week for sure. All right, 2 fights left. Again, appreciate every single one hanging out with us. All 18, 19 watching live with all these sports going on. We definitely appreciate you. Shout out to every single one watching. Hope everybody has a great weekend, making some money in all these sports going on. Big boy fight. Drew Dober, minus 120. Taking on Manuel Torres, plus 100. Minus 700 for this fight to finish. Dober, plus 105 inside the distance. Torres, plus 120. Under 1.5, minus 215. That's a big boy number. It was minus 155. Wow. So 2 hours ago it was minus 155. Now it's plus or minus 215. That is a big boy bet someone hit on under 1.5. I mean, yeah, if I have 100% of this fight, sure. What I don't want is any more than 70-30 of one side. Even 65-35 feels a little wide. My pick was Dober beginning of the week, but he was the dog, a very small one. But I thought his cardio advantage, durability advantage was enough that a little plus money in a high variance fight was for me. Now he still was the cheaper fighter. Cheaper fighter, the favorites. We played DFS. That could be a different game. Ownership. I'll read this ownership off. We have Dober 37, Torres 38. Well, if that's the case, Dober's my slight lean, but not a strong one. And ownership's so tough on these fights. It's really hard to project. So, yeah, Nika loved your corrupt decision.
They all are.
Yeah,
I don't have any lean on this fight winner-wise. I just think that it's gonna score well. Either one of them could get a knockout. Both of them dangerous strikers, throw with a lot of power. I trust Dober's durability and 15 minutes worth of fighting more, but Torres has the ground advantage in this fight. It's also in Mexico, so I don't know. I don't really even care either way who wins. I just want to have a ton of it. Yeah, and if I had 100%, I'd be absolutely cool with that. I would guess I have more Dober lineups because he's $200 cheaper, and I can just make lineups that I can't have Torres in. But yeah, I have no real preference, and ideally, whatever Torres lineups I have Dober in the same thing. So yeah, give me like 75 Dober lineups. Try and create as many of those as I can with Torres, and then the rest I can have none of this fight. I guess that'd be ideal.
Which fight do you think is more likely not to be optimal, this or the main event?
The main event.
I agree. I think so too. Obviously, the main event's favored to go the distance. It's plus 175 to finish. This one under 1.5 to minus 215. So yeah, I agree. I think this fight is better. And yeah, absolutely, Nika. It's not just about breaking down the fights. It's a lot of roster construction, game theory. When you play these two in a lineup, you're more likely to do this, etc. We also do have Big Marley and I talked an hour and a half. More education, MMA. Big Marley and I talked an hour and a half over summer. All the ins and outs, answered a lot of Discord questions in the MMA. So we have it for all 5 sports: NBA, MLB, PGA, NFL. Definitely make sure to check that out. Main event time, Big Marley. Brandon Moreno, minus 260. Taking on Steve Erceg, plus 220. Plus 175 for this fight to finish. Moreno, plus 215 inside the distance. Erceg, plus 700. Talk about line movement. Erceg opened the favorite. Isn't that pretty crazy? Minus 125. Shortly after, Moreno took money, became the favorite at minus 175. From there, slowly but surely, Moreno has taken money. What I'm going to say is, man, this line feels wide. You can tell me if you don't think so, but Erceg gave Pantoja one heck of a fight. Erceg has grappling chops. Erceg can strike. Cardio, yeah, I favor Moreno. He's been in a lot more 5-round fights. Erceg was still there fighting hard, though, in the 5th round. Getting knocked out by Kai Kara, no shame in that, but it was recent. It was his last fight. Durability is a little question. I don't know how much Moreno's one punch baking you, though. Like, it's more damage by 1,000 cuts than he gets you. I don't know. At this line, it's Erceg for me. But DFS is different than sports betting. If ownership is close gap, which we kind of have it that way, Moreno has a great money line for his price. He's taken steam since he opened, and a way better finishing prop. And I think he's more likely to wrestle. Obviously, the price, the 1K difference, I've been going back and forth. Like, I think the line's too wide. I'm going to play both of them. I'm going to play a lot of this fight. Yeah, I think I could see it getting like 54% Moreno, 35 Erceg. And if that's the case, I prefer Erceg. So I'm going to say Erceg is my preferred play. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way. I still think Moreno's just a little bit better everywhere. I think they're both super well-rounded. It's going to be a very fun fight where it mainly takes place on the feet, but either one can mix in wrestling. I think we do probably see a takedown from both sides. I would give Moreno the higher takedown probability, and he's also got the higher finishing probability too. So he's just my preferred play on a card where I want to mix in a lot of underdogs. I just don't really want Erceg to be just another one. I think I'll be around the field on him, and then I'll go overweight on the Moreno side because he is one of my favorites on the card. But on the Moreno side, he is the path for this fight to not be on the optimal lineup. He just scored 83, I want to say, 83 points in his 5-round decision in his last fight. 83 is not going to cut it at $8,600 on this card. And I could see something similar to that from him. So if I was only going to have a 1 5-star fight, it would be the co-main event. I'm not against moving this to a 4-star for that reason. But I do just think at their salaries, they have a good shot either way at 100 points. So I'm just going to be really heavy on both sides, more so on Moreno. If I was going to go 100% on this fight, I could see me having like 65-35.
I like it. I think that's probably the gap I would close that to. If I had 60, and I don't think I have 65-35 Moreno. So if I'm heavier on Erceg, it's probably like 50-45, something like that. I doubt I have 100% of this fight. I might have 100% of the co-main. Again, the only rule I will be making with 20 teams and less is at least one of these 4 fighters. If neither the main or the co-main event are on the winner, I just won't have the winner. That's fine with me. Most people will be building the same way, but maybe if 2% of the field fades all 4 fighters, maybe they're paying some of my rake is what I'm telling myself. Big Marley, you can tell my voice is almost out of there. Any final thoughts for you before we get on out?
Nah, man, hopefully it's a fun card. Hopefully nobody gasses out too bad. Hopefully the judges don't suck too bad. But good luck to you, Title. Good luck to everybody listening. Feel better, Title. But yeah, let's ship it.
I appreciate it. I feel fine. The voice just, hey, 3 shows. MLB, NBA, MMA. It was a fun day. Hopefully we can cap it off with some college basketball winners. That's going to do it for us, though. Good luck this weekend in all sports you're playing. Again, head over to ShipItNation.com. Use that promo code MLB50 for $50 off your first month. Gets you Saber Sim Core as well. For Big Marley, I'm Titletown. Have a good night. Be safe. Good luck. Peace.